Hello to you. In the region's news tonight, Thames Water's profits rise again. We ask, is it value for money? And we talk to the stars, Dionne Warwick, Lester Piggott and Gaza. Thames News is next.
Tonight at 8:30, a celestial tale of good and caring spirits. A group of angels must save 3 souls in crisis and accompany them into the next world.
They're dead, aren't they?
The job requires punctuality.
Bang on time.
You have to die, George.
And understanding.
It's like a kind of waiting room, really. Stop over where we get the chance to think a little.
Angels, tonight at 8:30 on Thames.
A little turkey, a little game. Tigger will never be the same. A little shrimp, a little salmon. To Ben is absolutely heaven. Whisker's select menus in easy-to-serve single portions. Cats instinctively know what they like and what's good for them. Cats would buy Whiskers.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, you must be
Susie.
Well, you're just in time for a cup of tea.
You have mine. I'll make another.
Thanks.
100% pure PG, freeze-dried granules.
You make a lovely cup of tea, Mrs. Roberts.
Call me Helen.
Can I pour anyone another?
Granules? Yes, please.
You can't beat PG granules. It's the taste.
In Jerusalem, 25 years ago, 2 babies, Arab and Jew, were born in the midst of war. What's life like for them today? Thursday, 8:30 on Thames.
Hello and good evening. Thames Water, another big rise in profits. Critics demand lower charges for customers. British Aerospace, another 640 jobs are to go.
Also tonight, saving lives, the toddlers and their families, helping premature babies. Summer art at the Academy, but does it please the critics? And in sport, we've Piggott on the derby and Gaza on his future.
As Thames Water announced record profits, there's renewed pressure on the company to cut bills. Profits are up 11% to £236 million. It follows big increases in charges and comes shortly before the industry watchdog is expected to reveal a growing number of disconnections. The National Consumer Council argues that customers deserve a better deal. Labour says the profits add insult to injury. But Thames Water says much of the money is being used to improve services.
As the drought continues, with the odd interruption, Thames Water's profits keep pouring in. The reason, a regulatory structure which allows the company to raise prices by up to 4.5% more than the rate of inflation. Although Thames did not impose the maximum permitted rises this year, the average family bill shot up 8.5% to £140. Consumer groups say that's far too much.
The company is doing very nicely, thank you, in the midst of a recession. And certainly I think customers are going to be asking whether the increased charges they're going to have to be paying over the next year or two are justified, or whether the company should be bearing more of the increased investment that we know is needed out of the profits or out of the money that's given to shareholders.
But Thames Water says it's major projects like the London Ring Main, now 6 months ahead of schedule, which justify the price rises. The company plans to plough back £4 billion over the next decade, making up for years of public sector neglect. What's more, with reservoirs 95% full and no hosepipe ban in sight, they say service is improving.
The bills also are the lowest in Western Europe. They're the lowest in the UK. So we operate low bill, no hosepipe bans. The basic need for profits is to generate cash flow in order to support a very large capital programme, which is of the order of £4 billion over 10 years. It's the capital programme that drives the price.
But it's not just sharply rising prices that gets the industry into hot water. The growing number of disconnections should be confirmed in figures from the regulator Ofwat on Friday. Thames maintains it only cuts off the won't pays, not the can't pays. Neither category could be said to apply to the industry's bosses, though, once again accused of lining their pockets through big pay rises and lucrative share option deals.
At a time when water bills are at record levels, at a time when many people are facing restrictions on their use of water, then I think it really does add insult to injury for people to see the top managers getting such very high salaries and, in addition, getting these massive perks, which altogether amount to millions of pounds.
But Roy Watts says his pay dropped 10% to £140,000 last year.
The driving force for price rises is not, I can assure you, salaries. Salaries throughout the whole group are not more than around 15–16% of total expenditure. That's the whole company. It's the capital programme, which is a result of neglect over many, many years.
And with the pricing structure to pay for it not due to change before 1995, there's little chance of early relief from price rises well above the rate of inflation. David Strawn for Thames News.
The government's confirmed that some 2,000 civil servants are set to move to Docklands. But Canary Wharf is only one of 3 developments which could play host to staff being moved out of the crumbling Department of Environment headquarters in Westminster. Several other government departments also have their eye on Docklands. Meanwhile, the first job losses at Canary Wharf have been announced. Jane Ball reports.
To loud Labour jeers, Environment Secretary Michael Howard confirmed 2,000 civil servants from the Department of Environment are to move to Docklands, subject to successful negotiations. The move's been condemned by Labour and civil service unions as a desperate bid to prop up debt-ridden Canary Wharf. But in reply to an emergency Labour question, the Environment Secretary announced 3 Docklands sites are being considered for the move.
Detailed negotiations are now underway in respect of 3 developments: Harbour Exchange, East India Dock and Canary Wharf. Subject to successful negotiations, I hope soon to proceed to the stage where it will be possible for me to sign heads of agreement in respect of one of these developments.
Mr Howard also revealed a number of other government departments, including the Department of Transport, are considering relocating to Docklands. The Marsham Street home of the DOT and the Department of Environment is to be demolished, and the DTI is also looking for new premises for its radio communications agency. Labour's Brian Gould attacked the plan as a misuse of taxpayers' money.
Through a backdoor deal to channel taxpayers' money to Olympia and York by way of rents for office space that could not otherwise be let.
As Labour and the government clashed in the Commons, 44 staff at Canary Wharf learned they were to be made redundant immediately.
The redundancies centre on the property side of the business rather than building management. Staff here have been reluctant to talk to the press, but say they've been badly let down, both by the government and the banks. They also say they expect further redundancies.
The administrators are due to meet with Canary Wharf tenants tomorrow. Meanwhile, speculation continues that the Hanson Group and P&O are considering buying the project. Jane Ball, Thames News.
And 640 people are to lose their jobs at the British Aerospace plant in Stevenage in Hertfordshire. The jobs are going in the company's satellites division. BAE say it's to reduce costs and make them competitive in the international communications market. It brings job losses at plants across the country to more than 12,000 in under 2 years.
Police have arrested the jeweller involved in a shooting which left 2 robbery suspects injured at his Hertfordshire home last week. Malcolm Hammond foiled an attempted break-in at his luxury home in Rushden. Today, police said he and his wife have been questioned about the use of a firearm during the burglary. Officers are searching Mr Hammond's home in Rushden and his shop in Stevenage.
The cost of a huge fire during the night at a DIY complex in southwest London is estimated at over £1 million. The fire swept through a site at New Malden, virtually destroying a Texas superstore. The cause isn't yet known. It could be arson. Lee White reports.
5 members of Texas home care staff were inside the store when the blaze broke out last night. All of them escaped serious injury, though 2 were taken to hospital, suffering from the effects of smoke. It's not known what caused the fire, but arson still hasn't been ruled out. As flames swept through the building, 18 fire engines were sent to the scene from the nearby station at New Malden. A total of 90 firefighters struggled to stop the flames spreading to neighbouring stores, which suffered only minor damage as a result.
Crews worked throughout the night and they in fact saved the MFI building, which is part of the same complex, and Carpet Lane, which is next door.
So presumably it could have been even more serious if it had spread to those buildings.
Very much more.
Today, the full extent of the devastation was revealed, with the interior of the Texas store almost completely destroyed. Fire crews were still at the scene damping down as an investigation got underway. The company won't say how much it will cost to rebuild the store, but one estimate put the cost of damage at more than £1 million. Meanwhile, Texas says that all the staff will be given work at other neighbouring branches. Lee White, Thames News.
Police have seized an arsenal of weapons and ammunition from a house at Walthamstow in north-east London. The discovery follows the arrest of a man armed with an automatic pistol. John Taylor reports.
The haul of weapons was recovered after a man who was arrested in Walthamstow was found to be carrying this loaded pistol and flick knife. A raid on a house brought to light a much larger collection of weapons, including this repeater airgun made to resemble an assault rifle. The arrest followed a tip-off to police investigating a number of drugs-related shootings in Stoke Newington, but police say there's nothing to link the find with any other serious crimes. The arsenal also included canisters of CS riot gas and a number of smoke grenades. Some of the weapons are believed to be replicas, but police say they could have been tampered with to make it possible to fire them. Detectives say it's a sign of a disturbing trend.
It's really an indication of the problems that police officers are finding on the streets. More and more we're coming across firearms, imitation firearms and other potentially lethal weapons in daily, everyday duties.
As well as the guns and ammunition, other finds at the house included a powerful crossbow and a small but deadly knife hidden inside a belt buckle. A man is now being questioned at Stoke Newington Police Station. John Taylor for Thames News.
A charity campaign to raise money for a new premature baby unit has an unlikely new mascot, a tube train. The new train has been named Tommy after St Thomas's Hospital and its team of experts. As Githa Hutton reports, staff at the Bakerloo Line depot in Southwark took up the fundraising challenge because of their own first-hand experiences of the hospital's life-saving work.
60,000 babies are born prematurely every year. 6,000 of those die within weeks of their birth. Here at St Thomas's Hospital, they work round the clock, trying to ensure that that number doesn't rise, caring for children only days old who can weigh less than a bag of sugar. But doctors here admit what's needed is a special centre of excellence, bringing together expertise from around the country to help combat problems of prematurity, miscarriage and poor fetal development. And today London Underground staff put their weight behind a campaign to raise £5 million for that new centre of excellence. A new tube train named Tommy after the St Thomas's appeal was unveiled by actress Linda Bellingham. It's the first tube train to be dedicated to a charity.
We aim to set up a series of research programmes. They'll be organised and masterminded by a professor in charge of it, but looking at the various aspects of poor nutrition, smoking, alcohol, drug abuse, teenage pregnancies and various other illnesses which affect pregnant ladies, and see if we can draw the strands together and find out some common causes and then find the ways of curing them.
Gavin and Elaine Bayliss have experienced the trauma of early births. It was touch and go whether their twin girls would survive after being born 3 months premature. Sigourney weighed just £1 10 ounces, while Lauren was £2 2 ounces. Luckily, after expert care at St Thomas's, they're now healthy 2-year-olds.
They look like some skinned rabbits. They don't look like babies at all.
It's very hard. And then when I think Elaine saw them for the first time, that's when they were wired up. On ventilators, tubes coming out of everywhere, and reasonably harrowing experience, I suppose.
£1 million has already been raised for the Tommy campaign. Another $1 million has been pledged, but there's still a long way to go before that new centre at St Thomas's is open to enable doctors and medical scientists to discover how to prevent premature births and save more lives. Githa Hutton, Thames News.
Now the art world is divided over a big exhibition about to open in the capital. The Royal Academy in Piccadilly has raised eyebrows by ditching the usual theme for its summer exhibition and mixing all the works up instead. As John Dowden reports, some critics are dismissing the whole thing as a hopeless mishmash.
The Royal Academy of Art's summer exhibition in Piccadilly is always the subject of much discussion. This year, some 12,000 works of art were sent in by established and hopeful artists. The hanging committee whittled that down to 1,700, as the RA dispensed with theme and went for diversity and contradiction.
If you look for a consistent show, where anything which would be discordant has been thrown out and what it presents is a uniform picture of whatever the subject might be, then you won't find it here. But it's a complete misunderstanding even to look for it here, because the whole point of the summer exhibition is that it is, if you like, it's a cross-section through what artists are doing today.
But for one critic's view, and some would call this man a one-man hanging committee for different reasons, we hand over to the Evening Standard's Brian Sewell. Gallery 9, which epitomises the Academy's tactics this year, comes in for particular venom.
Yes, I think pictures are here only because they fit the available space and for no other reason. Right. That's quite a decent little picture in its way. It's an honest primitive. It's somebody who can't paint but is struggling. But the thing above, you see, is really Bavarian schnitzerei of 100 years ago in a framed match. Have you ever seen so awful a frame? It's quite disgusting. The only thing to be said for Mozart is that he's a year out of date and he only costs £80, and I suppose buying something for £80 at the Royal Academy is a bit of a bargain. I wonder what commission they take on it. I think it's the worst wall of all, and the worst picture of all is the portrait of John Major.
What's particularly bad about that?
Oh, it's smooth. It's revolting. It's deliberately appealing to people who don't really know anything about art. It's a tea tray.
Well, I've nothing against tea trays. Of course, if you're going to misunderstand the whole exhibition, then your chances of misunderstanding Gallery 9 are very high.
But our critic didn't find fault everywhere. This Ben Jonson piece won his approval.
It's like painted mathematics. The judgment of interval, the changes of tone, when you get deep into the picture.
Whatever you're looking for, the summer exhibition opens on Sunday and runs until August. John Dowden for Thames News.
Quite an education. Now on to other news. Stolen bicycles are being used as currency to buy drugs, according to a Thames Valley police chief. Chief Constable Charles Pollard says there's been an increase of more than 50% in the theft of bicycles in his region over the past 2 years. It accounts for 6% of all crime in the region. His comments come as figures show 194,000 crimes were recorded in the region. That's a rise of 20% on the previous year. Stansted Airport in Essex is the fastest growing airport in the country, according to new figures released by the Civil Aviation Authority. It's increased traffic by 46%, handling over 2 million passengers a year. Luton Airport is bottom of the list, with a 27% fall in passengers.
The soul singer Dionne Warwick broke down in tears today as she met AIDS sufferers in the capital. She was opening a unique centre in northwest London which gives help and counselling to people infected with the HIV virus. Antonia Hastings now reports.
Keep smiling, keep shining. Dionne Warwick is a champion for HIV sufferers. The proceeds from her hit single were donated to organisations in America promoting AIDS awareness. That's what friends are for. Today she visited Brent, where the HIV infection rate is the second highest in London. She officially unveiled a plaque at a unique drop-in centre before breaking down in tears as she explained how a close colleague died from an AIDS-related disease.
Places like this where people can feel loved, feel supported, feel cared for, and know that they do have a facility that will take care of them. It's absolutely important, and I applaud everyone that's involved with this.
The centre offers counselling for HIV sufferers, as well as a meeting place and a children's creche. It was recently burgled. £8,000 worth of equipment was stolen and graffiti written on the walls. Organisers have put this behind them and say the centre reflects the general concern in the borough for the growing number of people who are HIV positive. Sufferers were among the guests who met Dionne Warwick.
When people of such esteem from the music profession are prepared to stand up, and actors and people, prominent people in society stand up. This can only do good. It can only sort of educate people.
I think it's marvellous because she's really showing what friends are for. You know, and that's a big thing in her life. And it's very important to our lives as well.
Brent now hopes the centre will be a model which will be copied by other London boroughs. Antonia Hastings, Thames News.
On to sport, and Paul Gascoigne will officially become a Lazio player on Thursday when he signs on the dotted line in private at White Hart Lane. He'll then fly out to Brazil to meet up with his new teammates on their tour of South America. And his fight back to fitness is to be the subject of an ITV documentary to be shown on Sunday afternoon. The debate about the FA Cup final tackle that put Gazza out of action for a year is now over. Gazza himself says it was daft, and when he watches the playback, he can't really believe he did it. Today, the scar on the right knee reveals the truth. Sunday's documentary on ITV shows the pain, hard work and effort he's had to put in to pick up his multi-million-pound career, often coming in before the rest of the Spurs squad for training because it was too frustrating for him to watch them play. He says he's determined to see all the sides of Italy and even learn the language. But after an extraordinary year, what sticks out most in his mind?
The tackle, as far as I'm concerned. Obviously the tackle, I sometimes think, what would I have been doing now? You know, I think I would have been going on holiday and looking forward to the next season in Italy. But it hasn't been that way. I try to get the tackle out of my mind. Now, I think once the season starts, that would be totally out of my mind. But you know, I think I just keep looking at all the hard work, and I don't think I would like another injury like I just had.
How have you managed to get this positive attitude? Because it was a really bad one, wasn't it?
Because it's football. I think if it would have been anything else, I don't think I would have come back from it. But it's football, I love it. And there was nothing going to stop me from coming back, even from the second injury.
What is it about Italy then that made it so appealing?
Just the football, I said before. I don't want to be 35 years of age and think I had the chance to play in Italy. So I'm going to take it. I've played 8 years in England, but then again, you can never tell.
The money's pretty good too, isn't it? That's a big help.
Yeah, that's what my dad says anyway.
I can't let you go without asking about these shorts. Now, what's it all about?
All right, they're presents.
Not a bet?
No, I hope not. No.
Lester Biggott, one of the favourites for tomorrow's derby, was among the jockeys out for a morning gallop at Epsom this morning. The veteran who'll be riding Rodrigo de Triano is trying for his 10th classic win. John Gubbo joined the early risers.
Lester Piggott is now a 56-year-old grandfather. Nonetheless, the 9 times winner of the Epsom Derby will once again be the automatic choice for many once-a-year punters. His mount Rodrigo de Triano is currently 8-1 joint favourite, but one controversial tipster says he's got no chance.
Don't back him at 56. He's too old to win the Derby. It's going to need a jockey of supreme skill to get a horse like Rodrigo de Triano who doesn't stay. The bookmakers want you to back Rodrigo de Triano. Don't.
Lester himself admits the recent heavy rain has watered down his bid for an epic 10th Derby success.
Well, it just happened to the best. It's been too much rain for him, really, you know.
Too much rain. Meanwhile, another top jockey who believes he's got his best hope ever in the Derby is John Reid. He's aboard Dr. Devious.
I think he's the best rider I've had in it.
And how big a shot of winning it?
He's got a big chance of winning it. The best chance I've ever had. And, well, I'm hoping he can do it.
Whoever wins the Derby will do so in front of Epsom's sparkling new grandstand. Her Majesty the Queen will formally open this impressive building before tomorrow's first race. Meanwhile, it's been a race against time to apply the finishing touches.
Well, it's been an excellent job by the construction team. We had a few hiccups during the winter, but it's amazing to see something that one had only seen on a plan suddenly take shape into what we have here now.
Do you think the Queen will be suitably impressed?
I hope so.
Finally, cricket and Middlesex opener Mike Rosebery produced a career-best innings at Trent Bridge. Rosebery enjoyed a 266-run first-wicket partnership with Desmond Haynes against Nottinghamshire and then went on to top score with 148. Haynes also reached his century. He finished with 114. And Middlesex closed the day at 401 for 2 in their first innings.
And that's about it from Graham and me for now. Robin Houston will be back with the Late Thames headlines. That's after news at 10. Tomorrow, by the way, Graham will be reporting live from Epsom Downs on Derby Day. Last year, Graham, you tipped the winner. What's the chance of a double?
A lot depends on the weather. I'll wait and see what happens tomorrow.
All right, until then, have a very good evening.
Any showers will die out this evening and it will turn misty, possibly bringing some fog patches by dawn. The low around 10 Celsius, 50 Fahrenheit, with light winds. Tomorrow, the mist and any fog should clear quite quickly, bringing some bright or sunny spells. Later in the afternoon, there'll be a few showers. Some of them could be heavy with thunder. The high 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit.
Channel 4 was about to give you a bunch of 5. Right between 10:30 and 11 on Wednesday nights.
We're going to miss Baywatch at this rate.
Love eggnog. 5 new comedies.
See a doctor with that fella.
Starting with Dead at 30.
I'm a slave to Gunter, the Swiss god of tidiness.
No, don't look at me, don't look at me. I've got a boyfriend.
Bunch of 5 starts tomorrow, 10:30 on 4.
Well, next this evening over on Channel 4, it's the news. Well, this is how tonight looks here on Thames. In just a few moments, a mystery letter for Annie Sugden in Emmerdale. Then at 7:30, we're off to Australia with Nature Watch. At 8 o'clock, Every Picture Tells a Story when WPC Martella investigates the alleged sexual assault of a young model. And at 8:30, a celestial tale of good and caring spirits in angels. That's tonight here on Thames.
Look what hard water does. It dries and leaves watermarks and dull surfaces. And it builds up into limescale.
But now you can brighten up your home with new Viacal.
Viacal?
Yes, Viacal. It is a remarkable name, but then it works in a remarkable way. Fizzing into action to fizz away limescale.
It tackles the taps, and it makes stainless steel stainless again. In fact, Viacal fizzes back the brightness every time you use it.
It's the Viacal fizz that does the biz.
You daft.
Muller rice, a satisfying blend of cool, light dairy rice with a delicious serving of fruit. Eat a Muller rice and give hunger the heave-ho.
Well, when your clothes get dirty from head to toe, show every stain the way it goes, 'cause it's so fine. It's so fine. It's really neat, the finest person you ever wanna be. Micro. Persil Micro. It's really neat, the finest Persil you ever wanna be.
Persil Micro System. Finer powder, cleaner clothes.
I share a house with 4 girls in a hard water area. Dove lather Dove as if it was a soft water area. Sometimes I have a dry patch here, but after Dove, it hasn't happened. And my skin's soft all over now.
Dove contains neutral cleansing ingredients and 1/4 moisturizing cream. It won't dry your skin like ordinary soap can.
Tim, my boyfriend, said, your skin's nice. To get a out of him means Dove's doing something good.
Oh, hello. Oh. Good evening, sir. I thought you'd retired.
No, I felt a bit peckish.
Ah, perhaps a Kingsmill sandwich?
Yeah.
Honey roast ham and mustard?
Oh, no.
A rare beef and horseradish?
No.
A smoked turkey and green salad?
How about cheese and pickle?
Yes, I can heartily recommend it, sir.
Kingsmill, the loaf that's better bread.
This
This isn't just a fancy dress contest, it's a contest to show how much better Fairy is than these less effective liquids.
Now that looks greasy.
So who's going to wash up? Lots of lovely bubbles to start with, but are they still shifting the grease?
Yuck, can't do anymore. Fairy bubbles can.
See, those other liquids can do this much, but Fairy goes on to do 50% more than those lesser liquids.
They're all wet, but they're not all wet. All wet?
Crunchy, chewy minties from Roundtree.
Some are blue. All wet?
Someone's got their eyes on your car. Always leave it secured with your belongings out of sight.
A lonely young girl starved of affection.
Come on, then.
A chance encounter.
Come for a ride.
And the comfort of strangers.
Come on, be a good girl.
But token love can leave a permanent reminder.
She went into labour out in a barn and didn't ask for help.
It led to a desperate decision and terrible regrets.
I just want to hold her up to me.
A Small Dance, tomorrow at 8 on Thames.